Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Facebook group inspired colorful Easter decor. For the first one, we're going to use 2 packs of banners. These are the beautiful spring colors that came out, as well as one of these felt bunnies, but you really can embellish it with a variety of different things, and we'll touch on that. For the other one, we're just going to paint this bunny sign, and we're going to add a bow to it with this beautiful ribbon that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's sort of like burlap-esque, and it has all these pretty words on it. For the first DIY, we're going to use Chelsea Abercrombie as an inspiration. This is actually her first DIY, she said, and I loved it. She added sunflowers, but we're going to add an Easter touch. So basically, we're just going to take 2 packs of banners, which is basically, oh, guess what I forgot to tell you? We need wreath form. Duh. You probably were like, how is she making a wreath without the wreath form? But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to cut these banners in half. Bandanas. We're going to cut these bandanas in half. We're basically going to cut these bandanas in roughly 2-inch strips, but it's just easier for me. Cut them in half, and then each half is 10 inches, and it's a little bit more manageable on camera. But if you have a cutting mat and your little rotary cutter, you probably knock these out in absolutely no time. But I want to show everybody who doesn't have those pieces of equipment how they can go ahead and do it. So the bandanas are roughly 20-inch squares. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut 2-inch strips out of that are going to be 20 inches long. Or I think they're supposed to be smaller, but they just seem to be roughly 20 inches. You know, I got 2 10-inch halves. But I basically am just putting it up against the ruler, and I'm cutting the strips all 4 layers at the same time. Now I'm not using my fabric scissor for this. I'm just using my Dollar Tree scissor. But the first one, I'm just leaving the way that the factory folded it, and I'm just cutting you. I'm just cutting to show you. This is going to be one jacked up voiceover, I'll tell you. I'm just cutting them that way to show you that no matter what the strips look like when they're done, it'll look pretty in the end. But for this second one, if you have an issue like me, I'm just going to refold all of the squares so that the edges match up. Now, that is not necessarily something that is important, but for me it is. So I went ahead and I did that, refolded them and cut these squares. Now if the strips, excuse me, so if the piece wasn't quite 10 inches or didn't make it across to 10 inches, all I did was took a little bit less off. So I started the one side at the 0 mark, and then if it didn't make quite to 10 inches, I cut the first one a little bit left of 8 inches. Then I cut a little bit left of 6 inches and a little bit left of 4 and 2, so that they were at least even. Now this part is the easiest part. Put on a TV show. Actually, the whole thing's easy. So you want to fold your fabric in half. No matter whether you go over or under, however you feel comfortable doing it, it doesn't make a difference as long as you do it the same way the whole wreath. Because you can always turn this over if you decide that you like it to go under instead. But basically all I'm doing is I'm folding the fabric in half, which it is naturally folded in half already because from the factory. And I'm taking the 2 ends in one hand and going with the 2 ends, I'm going under the wreath through the loop and then pulling it tight. Now we're just pulling them off to the side for now. We're not really going to adjust the tightness until we're done. We are going to manage to get all of these strips on there. Now, I really liked the variety of color, but you could do sections of pink, sections of peach. You know, you could do like break them up into sections if that's something that would appeal to you more. Or at least do 2 strips of each just to make a more spaced out color variation. But I just really liked it like this. When I bought these bandanas, I was thinking about my bestie because she's like a hippie in disguise. And I just don't know. Oh, a hippie at heart, not in disguise. I don't know what I'm saying. I just don't know how to describe the color. I want to say that they're bright pastels. And I know that that sounds like an oxymoron. But really, that's the only way I could think to describe them. They're not jewel tones because they're not as deep as jewel tones. They're like pastel colored jewel tones. I mean, that's almost the way I think to describe them. Even the purple, which is a dark color, still has a like a muted undertone, like has like a pastel-y type of undertone. And I know that these banners actually came in one other set that I didn't choose, sort of like the bright green, and I feel like it was the yellow and green, but I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. I knew that there was 3 sets and I only picked up 2. Now, originally, I wanted to make a rag wreath out of this. I was going to cut them all more and then tie them on like a rag wreath. But then I saw this on the Facebook group tonight, believe it or not, just tonight. And I was like, absolutely, I would love to be able to do this. I'm going to give Chelsea her little shout out and everything. Hopefully she's watching, or if she's not, one of her friends is. If you're friends with Chelsea Abercrombie over on the Dollar Tree DIY Facebook group or on Facebook, just tell her I mentioned her in this video and tell her I said absolutely thank you for inspiring me to do this DIY this way. Now before we put that last set on, we want to make the rest of them really tight. So all I'm doing is I'm actually found this easier when I turn the banner over to pull, you not only want to pull the 2 pieces of fabric away, but you want to pull them down towards the back. And what that does is that really gets them on there secure. Then all you have to do is basically push them forward. But if you notice, you can kind of see that the roundness of the ring almost looks like the pieces that are coming, I guess the ends look like they're almost laying underneath that ring. That's because the knots are technically almost in the back. So you want to tighten them all, make sure you have enough room for the last set, and then tighten those when you're done. Now I'm just going to show you a variety of different ideas that I had to decorate with. I was kind of thinking this little chick that says Happy Easter, all of the colors go except the yellow would pop. So I was like, oh, that yellow would pop. But that little blue bunny, oh my gosh, he's so adorable. I don't know where I'm going to use him, but he's so stinking adorable. And I was like, well, his color goes really well. One of those might be good. But then you know what got me, guys? The glitter. I'm just so not glitter. You know that. So then I was thinking about these chicks. These chicks are made out of the same felt colors almost as the bunnies from the last DIY. And I was like, oh, one of these chicks would be really cute, or 2 of these chicks, as a matter of fact. There is actually like a pink that is a perfect pink color, and there's a purple that, a blue. A blue that's the perfect blue color, and a pink and purple that's the... Anyway, I said, nah. And then I was like, oh, these flowers, and we can make it a spring wreath. And I'm like, nah, let's make a bow. And I was like, let's just make the bow for it, and then we'll see from there. So with this bow, I found this at the Dollar Tree. I only got 2. If you watch my Dollar Tree hauls, you know I was super excited to find one laying over randomly by glasses. It was so exciting. And then I ended up finding another one about a week or so later. But we're just going to do a 3-loop bow. Basically, we're wrapping the ribbon around itself 3 times, cutting notches in the center, basically folding the ribbon in half and cutting the wire ends in on both sides, and doing that with the tail as well. And then we're just going to take a piece of floral wire or craft wire, tie it around the middle. You can also do this with a pipe cleaner or string. We've done it with everything on this channel, I'm telling you. And then you go ahead and use that wire to tie the bow on. And then of course you want to fluff your bow. So I like to go, I like to take the inside loop and put it in the front, and take the outside loop and put it in the back, and just switch them back and forth left and right. And now I was like, ooh, after the felt chicks, I was like, hey, how about these bunnies? These bunnies I have left over from the previous DIYs from yesterday. I only used 5 out of the 8 that came, and the blue and the pink that are left over are just like perfect. And after polling my friends, we went with this blue bunny. I kind of put the holes right on a blue bandana so you wouldn't see them. And that's it. I just think he's so cute. For the next one, we want to shout out Shelby Bolton. She's actually one of the moderators for the DIY Dollar Tree group. And I absolutely loved the way she painted this. And I thought how perfect for our colorful Easter decor. Now she put a flower down by the bunny's tushy. At least I think that's what it looked like she did. We're going to do something just a tiny bit different and put a bow at the top of the string. But otherwise, I'm going to paint it exactly like she did. I'm going to use different paints, but you know what I mean. We're basically making the rainbow without the peach. Now, she had her bunny white and she had her E white. Basically, I don't know if she did it to balance the white, or she did it because there are 5 letters in happy and 6 letters in Easter. I'm not really sure. But I just loved that part. I loved how it like kind of gave balance to the sign. Now, I'm finding it necessary to brush off of the edge of the wood because I want to like if you've seen these boards before, these pieces of wood, you see that the edge has the like natural brown, the way they cut it. It's got like a dark brown edge, and I wanted to make sure that edge stayed clean. So with all of the painting, I'm actually brushing off the letters off the wood as to not get any drips down the sides. Now, I did accidentally put the H into the blue paint, which was just an accident on my part. But I'm showing you here how to mix the colors. So the first one we're doing is we're making the pink. But the pink I was trying to mimic was sort of that raspberry color that we used in the previous 2 DIYs. So I added a tiny smidge of blue, just a tiny smidge of blue. That's what I was holding up to the paintbrush up to the camera, but you couldn't really see it, so I just left it out. But basically barely putting blue in there. Now, there's rhyme or reason to the way I'm painting it. So I've decided to do the white, and then I did the pink, and now I'm doing the purple. And the reason I did that is because I don't want to waste any paint. So if you take your white and you add a tiny bit of red into it, it makes the pink. If you add a tiny bit of blue to your pink, you're going to get lavender. And then I started with a separate amount of paint. I added some white to blue to make light blue, but then I added a tinge of green to my light blue to make it more of a tealy color, as is with the rest of the DIY colors that we used this week. Now, it still is way more pastel than any of those jewel tones. I didn't want them to be that deep or dark. I did want it to be more pastel-y, but I wanted to be in the same family. I wanted to have the same hue, or at least close to it as possible. Pastel versions of those bright colors, if that makes any sense. So I started off with some more white. I added a touch of blue to it to create my light blue. And then I added a touch of yellow to that blue, just a smidge of yellow, because I wanted to create it more like on the teal side. So I wanted to make it a little bit of a green blue. So then I went ahead and I painted that. And then this way it was a lot easier to just add more yellow to it and create the green that we were going for. Okay, and then I painted those 2 letters. I liked the way that she had the letters sort of offset from each other as well. I think not until the end are they right above each other, where it's like purple on top of purple. Otherwise, they just each barely touch the letter of the same color from above, which I really liked. And then we're going to paint the green. And again, like I said, it's very similar to the blue, but it's just, it got a little bit more yellow to it. And then finally, with the remainder of the white and the remainder of the yellow, we're going to go create a really pale yellow as well. Now I'm taking white Waverly chalk paint and I'm mixing in Dollar Tree's little tube acrylics. That's how I'm tinting all of these paints. Okay, so you can, find the white paint at the Dollar Tree too, and you could just do it with all Dollar Tree paints if you want to. And this can be an entirely Dollar Tree project, because this is technically a Dollar Tree brush, and that is a Dollar Tree mat. But I like that little matte finish that you get with the chalk paint. Even when you add the bright acrylics to it, it still ends up being a matte finish. Okay. Now, I really do love the way it came out. I really do. And I'm just touching back up whatever I might have missed here and there and everywhere. And now I'm just going to set it off to the side. Well, first I'm going to let the mat off to the side. And what's great about chalk paint, too, is that white is already dry. So the rest of it's going to be dry in no time. So I just took the rest of this roll of ribbon to make a bow. I basically made one of my bows. I took 2 loops of 2 different sizes and I laid them on top of each other. Overlapping just ever so. It overlaps about 1 inch. And then I create a second loop on top of it, a little smaller. And then I put the tail underneath and I just pinch in the shape of an M, up and down and up and down. But for this one, I decided to add a little grosgrain bow on it, almost like a florist type bow. I'm sure it has a name, but I don't know it. I'm just going to wrap the ribbon around my hand a few times. I'm wrapping the blue, the turquoise color or teal color a few more times. I'm basically making, I think, 5 loops, and then the purple is just going to be 3 or 4 loops. But I will tell you, I have tried to make this bow my whole life, and I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about this bow and me that have issues. The only way that I can make it is almost with that paper satin ribbon that you actually get from the florist. Otherwise, it just doesn't work for me. But I still like it as an accent, even though it didn't, I had to play with it crazy amount of times and fluff it like a crazy person. We're just doing the same thing, and we're cutting notches on the side, which again is a little harder to do on this fabric ribbon being so thick. But maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But when you cut the notches in the ribbon, it's what usually keeps them from going back into their natural position. When you put a notch in the ribbon, it holds the loops apart. Okay? And then I'm just taking a piece of floral wire, and I'm going to pick up the blue first, then the purple. Blue first, then twist it, then the purple, then twist it, and then go over the bow, and then twist it. And then I'm leaving the very, very ends to tie around the string from the project. And then, of course, just fluff it. Pull it, fluff it, fluff it, fluff it. Dovetail the tails. Dovetail the tails. And just keep fluffing it. I mean, even after I had it all together, I went and I fluffed it some more, and then I hung it on the door, and I had to fluff it some more. So that's something that you want to forget about doing. Just leave the regular bow on there because the wire edge ribbon will stay where you put it. Just saying. Okay? So then what I did was I tied the string, the wire around the string. I tried at first not to tie it so tight because I was afraid if I had to adjust the way that it hung. But then when I went to go twist it on the back of the bow to make a loop, I ended up undoing it. And when I redid it, I did it way too tight. So keep that in mind as well. And then you can hang it from the string, or you can hang it from the little wire. I made the little wire into a little loop in the back, so we can hang it from that. And here's how it looks. I really wanted to photograph it on my gray wall, but the lighting was terrible this time of night. So I put it on my door. And that's that project. And I wanted to thank both of these ladies for inspiring me, and thank you for allowing me to be in the Facebook group. If you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in making either one of these or being inspired as well. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.